Welcome back to the WODprep podcast. I'm your host, Claire Bays, with the backup
The
co-host, Nelson
backup.
Slade.
I love it.
I had to think about what term to give it, and I'm like, anyway, that one just felt most appropriate, especially because honestly, you're a great co-host. Like, it's fun anyway, I enjoy doing a
Hey,
show with
backups are
you.
important in any sport, man. I've been a backup more this last year than I think ever. So you gotta be ready. Now we're ready.
Oh man, that's actually like a perfect tie into. I
Yeah,
wanted to start out a little bit with like what we were up to at the games. Well, before we go there, actually, what's your week been like since the games?
week's been good. I kind of planned like a mini vacation in between, or not in between, but immediately after. So I flew from San Jose on Monday down to Los Angeles and spent a few days there because one of my like childhood friends growing up works in like the film and TV industry down there. So while he was working all day, I basically tried a few different gyms and dropped into some gyms and then had a rental car. So I got to explore the city and like the surrounding cities a good bit and then turn around and flew back yesterday, which is a good long flight for me, but luckily was able to get a lot of work done and now we're back to some form of normalcy.
So you mentioned before we came on that you wound up dropping in at a really cool gym. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny, just like the power of like Google and stuff and like where you are. Cause like first off, if you fly in anywhere into LAX, it takes like an hour to get anywhere outside of the airport. So my friend lives in North Hollywood and so it took me like an hour to get there. And by the time I got there, it was still going to be like a good 2 hours or so before he was like done with work and everything. So I was like, okay, like I'll drop into a gym and found a gym, dropped in, like it was a good time. Definitely like old school. And then, we linked together and he's like, yeah, I think there's actually like a gym. I'm pretty sure it's a CrossFit gym, like super close to my house. And I was like, okay, yeah, like I didn't see anything. And then like on like Google Maps or anything. And then found the name of the gym, looked it up, and turns out that it is the owned by Becca and Eric Miller. So Rebecca Voigt Miller, current 45 to 49 champion of the CrossFit Games, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So she's like, the gym's like 200 meters from his house. It's like an indoor outdoor gym. Dropped in there the last 2 days I was there, and it was awesome. Super knowledgeable coaches, could handle large classes, ended on time. And then, just also what she does too. She, like I actually didn't get the chance to talk with her much. And then the one time I did get to talk to her, she was coaching and she coaches what's called like a basics class, which is essentially like a semi-private, like one-on-one coaching class that she does where she'll write you a specific program based on the skills, particularly gymnastics that you want to work on. And then just kind of like be floating around while all of the individuals are like hitting their drills and hitting the workout that she wrote for them. So it's like, basically, and I mean it's the cost of I think like a normal membership, but like going pretty like far and above and beyond what like a regular CrossFit class would be. So which I mean, thinking about it probably isn't that surprising considering the high level coach and athlete and just how long she's been in the space for. So super cool kind of like coincidence that my buddy who like is not in the CrossFit space at all was like, yeah, I think there's this gym like right down the street from me, and turns out it's like one of the biggest OGs in the sport.
That's so cool. I would love to drop into her gym. And you're right. It doesn't surprise me at all that she does something that high level, just because that's just kind of how she operates in life, clearly, based on the fact that she's literally been in the games field for 19 of the 20 years, only missed year number 1. So yeah, we got to talk to her a little bit on, I think it was the second day. It was either the first or second day. I want to say the second one it was, yes. So that would have been Tuesday, Wednesday on the recap show on Flow Elite. We got to chat with her a bit. And so we didn't get to dive into the details of all of that, but obviously affiliate ownership means a ton to her. And I just have so much respect. It'd be really fun to dive further and further into all the, everything that she does there. But it also sounds like, to me, that just makes me think of the unique nature of affiliates, right? That like at the end of the day, they do get to be run how the owner wants to run them, and all those little things that they can incorporate is pretty cool. That then for some reason also makes me think of the fact that we're having a health integration summit at my home gym in Barton in
nice.
Yeah. So we're doing that in September. People can go look at the CrossFit Medical Society's website to see where all of the upcoming summits are. But that's another cool way to integrate further health into your affiliate. So I know we've talked about it on the show here and there, but we're really excited that that's going to come to North Austin. So hopefully more gyms in this area can start to incorporate more of what CrossFit Medical Society offers into their gyms.
Yeah, it's a super cool niche. Like that's like almost like a community of itself. So like I'm with community care, like have my like own health advocate, and I don't know how it got brought up. I think like I was having some difficulties obtaining like a physical, like because as an alternate I needed one for the games, and talking through my health advocate, she was like also like, you know, gave me the information, but was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that you're going to be there. We're all going to be there. Let's make sure like we find some time to like interact with each other. So I was able to do that while I was there too. So, you know, it's almost kind of like separate little pieces of like the big CrossFit bubble kind of showing himself.
Oh yeah. And that's, yeah, what the medical society is up to is actually insane in the best way. I just got my blood work with them again. With them for the first time, I needed an update. Anyway, it was a very seamless process, super easy, got funded, no problem. It was awesome. Yeah. So speaking of being a backup, you were a backup at the games.
Yeah. I was an alternate on Team Solidarity. They finished 9th and had, I mean, it was almost kind of like a Colton-esque like performance, like which I would say is in like a very complimenting way. I think they had 4 heat wins and 2 event wins,
yes,
but then had some lower finishes. So, you know, so a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but finished in the top 10. And so, you know, got to hang out with them throughout the whole process. I mean, it was, as you know, very, very hectic, with me also coaching at age group, and then having, you know, not having, but being fortunate enough to like have a reason to stick around for the podium, because we had several podium athletes at the age group games, which ran right up until their first event. So, you know, our coach Orlando and I like essentially sprinted across San Jose, which, you know, it wasn't, luckily, I mean, the distance between the convention center and the SAP center were not that far. And got there in time, like kind of like halfway through their first event, which was a very unique, like, I think, event in general at the CrossFit Games, with like the bobsled push, which I don't think was streamed, but essentially was like a 1v1 team against team, like through several rounds, like iterations of knockouts of like a sled push that got progressively lighter. So, you know, kind of like enticed you and forced you to go a little bit heavier. And I got there just in time, like literally like right as they had finished going up against Oslo Krieger, and were able to sneak an edge of their timeout. And then got to like watch the whole process go again. And then ultimately got to see them compete in the final against Camp Rhino, which was also kind of a unique situation where, you know, you have to go down on the turf/carpet and back. And by the time that both teams had gotten down, Rhino more or less gave up. And so, you know, got to see my team take a event win in the first event at the CrossFit Games, and for 2 of my friends on the team, their first ever event at the CrossFit Games, which was just really, really cool to see. Kind of crazy afterwards, watching them like in a lot of pain, because that event, I think, caused a lot of pain for the team athletes. With like BKG notably saying that was harder than any event that he did as an individual at the CrossFit Games.
Yep.
And to then have to turn around and watch them compete like 15 minutes later, to some slight controversy, at least for my team, in terms of the fact that after winning an event, had to turn around and be in the first heat, and a specific event that like not punished you, but like forced you, in order to win the event, to work more than the other teams. So the second event didn't go so well for us. I think it went from a first to a second to last, but you know, at the end of the day, like they were really happy with it, and it was a really cool event for all of them. So I think that they were happy to have it happen that way.
Yeah. And they finished 9th overall. So top 10. I know we will have Logan on from the, from the team here in just a little bit. So we'll talk to her a little bit more about that. But you mentioned that it wasn't streamed. So the event wasn't streamed as far as a typical stream that has, you know, commentating and so on. But we did actually very last minute move our setup for the recap shows down onto the street, and we were able to like B-roll some of it. We didn't have like the things that we would need to sufficiently commentate it. So we were able to just kind of show some footage, react to some, and talk through what would have been our typical recap show. It was a little bit more fluid. It definitely lasted longer. All the other ones were basically 1 hour at a time, but it was, yeah, I mean, just being outdoors, like this is, I feel like CJ would love this because outdoors hits different, right? And so it's literally just like on the street, but it was so, yeah, the energy down there was super fun. The event itself, like you said, I think that any of the behind the scenes footage, in my opinion, would be well worth going back and watching. I have not had a chance to get caught up nearly on everything that's out there, but I definitely want to go back and watch a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that's out there, because the carnage, as you mentioned, was wild. And one thing that was kind of interesting about the event is that each knockout round that happened, so your team wound up doing 4 total rounds, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so they did the most rounds of any team. And like you said, they lightened the load. But what happened is on that first round, so all the teams going up against one another, the races were neck and neck, like across the board, right? Like every single time it was like one team barely
no
beating
idea
out
if you were
another
going to
team.
be in or not.
And then as they got into the second and then third and then fourth round, especially by the third round, the gapping started to become very significant. And so I just found that really interesting to watch, that like, oh, wow. So some teams had what it takes, between the ears with the recovery, who knows, to be able to like turn right back around and produce this effort that looked absolutely disgusting. I mean, they were throwing up. They were like, it was insane.
That was I saw, like, so we did watch, there's the and I mean, just knowing CrossFit and Sevon and all of them, like they were very fast at turning around that behind the scenes footage, which was cool.
Yeah.
And I know it was also like a cool situation too, right? With it being on the outside, right? So I being an alternate on the team was not a coach for the team. So like, my access was, relatively limited, especially as it came to the indoor events. But for the outdoor events, it's pretty, I don't want to say laid back, but I mean, it's like much harder to limit that kind of stuff. And I was able to kind of like work my way in a little bit to be with, Solidarity's coach, and also was basically set up right next to CJ, with CJ coaching the Reykjavik team. And I know one of the guys on the Reykjavik team definitely let it rip afterwards.
And there's footage of it. Yeah.
And there is footage of it. So I mean, it was intense, man. And I mean, I also like good on CrossFit. I know like Rhino more or less just was like, okay, like we lost, we'll take second place. Like we're just done. And they're like, nah, you push that thing down. You got to push it back. So, they made them, made it go. But I mean, definitely specific type, there's a lot to it, right? There's definitely the coordination of the bob. I was really nervous on the fact that there was 2 different carpets. You hear about all the time in things like High Rocks, like the difference in floorings and like lane to lane. And it seemed like from both what you could see visually and then the perspective from the athletes, the lanes were more or less identical, because you had to also go back and forth between each lane if you were going to keep going. So you had to experience both. So it definitely seemed like that was awesome. I mean, that's definitely, especially with something like a huge bob, hard to do, I feel like. So like, good on CrossFit for making sure that in between events, I think they're also like, sweeping stuff and making things, or not in between events, in between heats, making sure everything's good there. And then just also, like the absolute and complete carnage. I think it does play to a specific type of athlete. I mean, as a lot of people in the commentary saw, one of our guys on our team, Riley, is a big boy, which, doesn't always play to a run, but when it comes to like a power output piece, he was more or less pushing that last sled by himself, as you could see the bob kind of turning as they all went. So, I mean, I think contributed to the heat win. I mean, they all hurt and they all made it hurt a lot. But I mean, he definitely made that thing go.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll play a couple of clips that once Logan's on too, to kind of show context. So they'll get to see Riley. Love it. Well, so, and from my perspective, so I didn't really talk about prior to going to the games what all I was going to be up to, because like it continued to evolve right up until, and I suppose, and I also I don't know why I'm like, oh, we'll just wait until it happens, but we talked. So Nelson and I both work for WODprep. He's one of our one-on-one coaches. And so we stayed in the house together, the WODprep team. And so I was telling them just how, at minimum surreal, the whole experience felt for me. And it was just, we've both been fans of this thing for so long, you know? And so to get to be at the games is always such a gift. And then to get to be there and working, also a gift, right? Or to get to be there as an alternate, like what an experience, even though I know you want to be on the team, you don't want to be the
Sure.
alternate, but you know, it's progress. And so anyway, it was just being there Tuesday through Thursday, working in the booth with Ben for WODprep. Of course, last year at the age group games is the first time that I ever worked an event with WODprep. And so to just see that evolution with the team was really, really fun. And then to Friday through Sunday, work the activations on Vendor Village. So there's a stage right by the entrance to the SAP in Vendor Village where we did a bunch of different activations, whether it was talks with different experts in different fields or just fun things. Like we had Ruben Rojas, he's like a really notable artist, and he came out and painted a Yeti for a live auction that was a giveaway for, or I'm sorry, not a giveaway. It was a live auction for funds to be raised for Valor Fit. Got to have Troy Peterson, the founder of Valor Fit, up there for a talk. We had a bunch of different talks with the Onward Physical Therapy team that was on site treating people the entire time about all sorts of different topics. Let's see, PB Fit did a really fun activation. Tupu did a lift off, which, by the way, that was so crazy that Carolyn Perivo came. Literally, I called it her 8th event because she had just done 7 events over the previous 3 days to take first to the 35 to 39. The following day, we're doing the Tupu lift off, which is just a max unbroken deadlifts, 225 for the men, 155 for the ladies. And she walks up and she's a great hinger. We know it, right? And so I just see her eyeing it. And I was like, if you feel good, you got to do it. Like you don't even have a choice, you know? And so she's toying with it. Sure enough, she warmed up and she did, how many did she do?
65?
No. The male winner, which was Jordan Barotaran, he is from, I think he's from Salt Lake City. He's in the Utah area. I've seen him compete before. And like, I remember last year he did a back squat at the Summit Games at like 550. So I'm like, this dude's strong. Yeah. So he hit 63 reps at 225 unbroken to take the win for the men. I think
maybe like 83s also coming in.
I think it was 83 reps that she got.
Like just abs. And like, I mean, I saw a clip. I wasn't there for the whole thing, but just like, at some point, I think she just went like completely dumb and just like heads like just going
literally. Yeah, you can actually
went totally dark.
Yeah, if you go to my Instagram, you could see that clip. And you know what? I could just pull it up. Yeah, give me just a second. It was just like, I mean, I think for her, and this is my assumption, we didn't have this conversation, but I think that for her, it was a matter of like, got to hold on to, you know, like it becomes a grip thing at some
100%,
point.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely just like, okay, I'm going to absolutely rip this thing to get this done as fast as possible. So, okay, you guys can see my screen, right?
That's insane. Event number.
Oh, sorry.
Nervous, little pressure's on here. Probably get 70. It's a lot. She's gonna mess around and find out.
That was the previous was 70.
Yes.
My goodness. Yeah, she's like high pulling the boat, she's shrugging with every rep, like crazy. Goodness gracious.
It's so sick.
It's like I almost don't know if that's like to the detriment of CrossFit and just in the way of like, just imagine like you walk up and you just, I mean, like, and obviously like from all the reps that you're filming, great form, like, you know, don't need any kind of form check, but it's just like, that's stretching the limits for sure. I mean, you know, I hope that's like never an event at the CrossFit Games because I don't want to know like how deep some of those athletes are going to have to dig for that. I mean, because that is so impressive considering that like last workout of the age group games was like a bike and DT. So like a good amount of like hinging, like, you know, 60 deadlifts and like 45 hang cleans. So, I mean, you know, definitely not the easiest thing in the world. So, I mean, yeah, you know, definitely a tip of the cap to her. That was pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, she came over and she said the one thing that was like noticeably sore from the event, from the competition itself, was her hamstrings. And she said that in a deadlift, it's all hamstrings for her. She didn't really get much fatigue in her low back, which is super cool. And like you said, if you look at it technically, I'm like, yeah, well, that checks.
Yeah, looks good.
It was really fun. Actually, Tuesday of this week, finally got back to my home gym and got in a class, which That was the longest I've been away for too long. But it actually, the workout was, it was a hero workout. Let me find what it was. Either way, it opened up with 2 minutes of a max deadlift at 155. So you did that for 2 minutes, and then you went into a 19-minute workout, and then you finished off with another 2 minutes of max reps. So of course, in that setting, it wasn't unbroken. And so between the 2-minute settings, I got 75 reps. She did more than that in one unbroken set at that load. So, I mean, she's just a savage. So, and what that workout was, by the way, it's Jack's Triangle is the name. And so anyway, he was lost in combat in Iraq in 2004 due to injuries. And so it's a great workout. And of course, that's just love hero workouts. So let's see here. Grace says, you were hustling last weekend. Every time I walked by that stage, you were hosting a different experience. It was I have so much gratitude to HQ for that, getting the opportunity to be out there and doing that. Like, just to everyone that was involved, anyone that was involved in that decision, thank you. It was, I feel like, an appropriate place for me to be. Like, thanks to getting to MC and so on at a bunch of events, I love being in the thick of it with the community. And that's literally exactly what that was. And it was so much fun. So really, really cool. Oh yeah. Will Plummer, did you get to meet him, or do you know who he is?
I don't think so.
Do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
Well, you got your level 3 last year, right? I'm almost certain he did. He works for Sentinel. And so he was actually on the media crew for Savant's team.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I did actually read the article that you sent me, or you had me look at. It's a CrossFit journal article from way back in the day. What was it? The title.
Also, just like touching on like being over on the East Coast, right? Especially like right as I was leaving, we were kind of experiencing the aftermath from all of like the Canadian wildfires, which is crazy considering it was like Western Canada. Like, if you like look at the map, it just literally drifted like southeast. But going from there, we're like crazy hot, like really humid, and then like, not great air quality, to the fact that like, I don't think I saw a significant cloud in the sky my entire like 10 days in California. Like, and albeit like still incredibly hard being on the activation floor the entire time, every day, not a lot of like coverage away from the sun. Like, I feel like the weather was just like as great as it possibly could have been. I mean, it was nice, kind of like, because I feel like at this point now, going to as many events like as I have, like you kind of like pick up on like, it's going to be cold inside the venue. And then like you walk outside the venue and it's like a change in temperature, but it's not like dramatic, and it's like super nice, but still like being out in the sun, like, I mean, you were going pretty intensely there the entire day. And then most people, don't realize, like, have to turn around and then doing the update show. So like Claire's not getting back to the WODprep house until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and is completely buzzing. And then Ben, for those of you who may or may not know, operates completely inversely as most humans do, where he gets smarter and also more aware of life later into the day. So they're both just completely buzzing. I am like completely toast at the end of every day. So I got two people just like rattling things off back and forth. And I'm just kind of like sitting there in the middle. So it was a fun couple of days in terms of those interactions.
Yeah, it was really fun. And my days, I mean, I like to wake early enough to kind of get my mind right for the day and so on. So yeah, the days were long, but they were like, wouldn't trade it for the world. And yeah, doing the recap show and doing other roles as well was such a fun challenge. And I couldn't have dreamt up the opportunity to be on the show if I tried. Like, that was the craziest experience to get to work with Rookie Austin and Bill Brundler. Like, that just, I don't know, that's whatever dreams are, getting to do the broadcast stuff was beyond them for sure. So really, really cool to work alongside those guys. And thank you, Justin, by the way. So we will, thank you, Will. I actually pulled it up as well. So the article that Will referenced that I did read, it's literally 3 pages. It takes no time to read, from the journal way back in the day, is Anatomy and Physiology for Jocks. And so if anybody wants to take a look at that, it's just super simplifying this stuff of how do you kind of educate someone who you want to become more coachable quickly on these terms that you're going to be using when coaching them. And anyway, it was a cool article. So, okay, we have our guest. I'll go ahead and bring her on. Hello.
Hey, how's it
How's it-
going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Logan Thomas. She, works for WODprep, which is super cool. And she also was on Team Solidarity.
Yeah.
You got some firsts.
Thumbs
You
it
got
up, yeah.
just a couple seconds to last. It's fine, but you finished in the top 10.
Yeah, definitely some highs and lows. I think like kicking off the first day, event win, super, super cool. Turning around, coming in second to last, a little bit less cool.
I gave some
But
context.
it all
Don't worry.
balances out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And also to
he
give
set
some
this
more
up.
context, like I know everybody deals with stuff, and Logan can definitely talk more through this. I don't think any team ends the weekend super, super healthy, but for what it's worth, considering those events on the last day, I know Logan more or less couldn't put on her own socks, like going into that last day, just in terms of having some, flare-ups with the back going on. So to turn around and win an event, all things considered, I think that's like pretty impressive. But speaking on that, how is your back, Logan?
Thanks, Nelson. The back is a lot better now. I haven't done anything for 4 days now.
Yeah.
So I guess just some context. I deal with back issues intermittently. I feel like a lot of people deal with things in the sport. But literally last training session before I left for San Jose, I popped my back again on a deadlift. Which like Nelson said, everybody deals with things. So it's not like everybody has things that go on. But yeah, going into the last day, I love lifting. And then the 1 rep max lift was a deadlift. And I was like, are we serious? That's probably the one thing that I can't do right now. So 2 19th places, but one of them, when one of your girls only deadlifts 225 and then stops there, it's what do you really expect? So.
Well, and Logan, what's your on a good day? What's a deadlift 1 rep for you?
I'm pretty confident I can hit 375 on any given day. I don't like deadlifting. Deadlifting is my worst lift, but that's decently competitive,
This is crazy. I don't like deadlifting. It's my worst lift. Also, when I feel good, I can probably hit 375. What a savage.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were training together the other day, and I think you pulled 375 and then pulled 385 and then had 395 potentially. So all those numbers were very, very present.
Yeah. And so honestly, I think losing out on 150 pounds potentially on a lift and still taking second to last,
yeah,
I'll take it, honestly.
Yeah, and we were, I think, only 10 pounds away from the next team.
Yeah, we were actually
I was trying to scream at the guys because the guys went second on the deadlift, and they had maybe 30 seconds left. And I think Riley hit a lift, and they're all chest pounding and high-fiving, whatever. And the team immediately to the right from them had just hit a lift and put them 10 pounds over. So I'm screaming at them to try and change their weights, and they didn't get it done in time. So, you can give them shit for that. Why it should have been an 18th, but it was a 19th.
No, honestly, shout out to them. Luke is a really good deadlifter. Riley's super strong. Yeah. Hannah put in work. That's, I think, an amazing event to finish how we did when, again, basically they didn't have a fourth teammate. So I won't say a word to them about the deadlift that they crushed it. They did great. They carried me in that one. So we'll take it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm going to share this.
And also I think just something in general too. I think, this is obviously both Logan and I's first time being involved at the games on the competition side, but just being in the sport for a long time and knowing the schedule more or less. I want to say this has to be the first time. Oh, here we go. It's just all the team events back to back to back, right? It normally was kind of teams intermittently, spread in between the individual events, but essentially not only are they competing, they're doing 3 events. There we go.
Oh, wait, we have to hear that audio. I'm sorry. What was that?
Think about it every night and day.
I did not realize that audio was on there. It's so good. And here, hang on. One more, just for safe measure.
Also, which is one of those things that the time did become a factor.
But we didn't know.
But,
so, yeah.
The complete take flight of
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't switched it yet. I was over here watching.
Oh my goodness.
And this is exactly what he did on the Bob event as well, which pretty much every team was doing that. But the best way I could describe his actions to get to those buzzers was just yeeting himself into them. Like just
that's a lot of mass to be eaten into the chest piece. Like, I don't know if there's like a tripwire or something underneath the timer, but if he didn't hit that timer, that thing was still going off because that's a tackle dummy at that point.
Well, this
so
event was
good.
funny too because I think we ended up winning by like 10 seconds or something. So close, but definitely not like he probably didn't need to dive to the finish, but we didn't really know that. Like all I heard when we were on our last set of burpees. So for people who don't know that event, it was like worm lunge, thruster, lunge, burpee, lunge, thruster, burpee, thruster, burpee. So we're like on our last.
It was kind of weird in terms of the like it flowed, but like you guys didn't end with a set of thrusters, right? Like the thrusters were like cut short. You did your burpees and then lunge to the finish.
It was thruster. Yeah, it was thrusters first, burpee second. So we were on like we had one set of burpees and then lunge to the finish, drop the worm touch. And we were on the end lane. We were like lane 1 or lane 10. I don't know, whichever one was on the side. Which was really cool because like our whole cheering section was right there with us. Yeah. And so we're doing our last set of burpees and all I hear is Nelson just like screaming in my ear about like how much time we have left.
Like from the time set in the previous heat.
Because
they were running away with it, like, you know, because Whip and Mayhem essentially were only racing each other. Oslo Krieger more or less had it wrapped up at that point. So, which is cool, right? Because I think like in situations like those, which happens frequently, like especially like a last event at the games. I mean, we saw it on the individual side too, right? Like it always opens up the door for somebody else to kind of come in and win the last event. But there's a team in the last heat that definitely set a good time. So like, you know, they had a good cushion.
Yeah, they crushed it. But yeah, so we're doing our burpees and I just hear Nelson yelling basically like, you got 90 seconds, like you got to go. Cause we had 12 burpees and then the lunge to the finish left. So plenty of time. 90 seconds is plenty of time to do that. But still like I was dragging on the burpees. Like, so definitely not time to waste. So we finish our burpees and then we pick up our lunge and we're like in a hurry because we don't know what the actual time to beat was. We just hear like, you know, you got to go. And then so my team's like pretty good on the worm. We move it pretty well. We're pretty like in sync. Every time that we start a lunge, we start with the right foot. Like that is how it is. Cause you all have to lunge on the same foot. So just make it easy. We always start on the right. Well, for whatever reason, Riley decides that this is the time to start with his left foot. So he goes to lunge with his left foot, but like I have my right foot in the air. So I have to put my right foot down and try and switch to my left foot. Luke and Hannah are already lunging. I'm stuck in the middle. So I end up doing this weird, like almost like a sissy squat kind of thing. So like the worm is lunged, I'm squatting, we have to back it up. We try to start again. But apparently if you get a no rep on a lunge, you have to drop the worm completely and then like clean it back up. So we have this like, I don't know, probably like 15-second time loss just from like.
Yeah, meanwhile, like I am like hands over my head like this.
And we're all thinking we're about to just like lose this event win because we can't start our lunge
together. Yeah.
So we finally get it up and go. And at that point we didn't know. So like Riley dove and everything because we didn't know how close it was. So we needed like every second. But it's funny like watching that back and looking at the leaderboard and it's like they put up like the final scores and it's like, oh yeah, we had like 10 seconds. But it made for a really cool like finish and video and
yeah, for sure. Worth it. Like totally worth it. What's some, I'm just thinking like what would be some behind the scenes experience that you guys had that people wouldn't just know about that stood out to you, whether, I mean, just something funny or I mean, anything that you experienced that wasn't necessarily shown on the competition floor?
Yeah. I think one of the running gags from early in the weekend throughout the whole weekend was Hannah's like inability to park our rental car, which is pretty funny. I think like with
Hannah's driving in general, which is actually like people in the podcast are relatively attuned to that. So
yeah, that's like not an exclusive thing to the last time she was on the podcast, which like she did great. She ended up with a minivan. So like, I'm not going to judge that minivan, hard to park with like weird dimensions, but literally like day one, we pull into like the athlete parking lot and this is like day one for check-in. There's nobody else in the parking lot at all. Like she could park anywhere and she's taking up like 3 spots and we're just like, So that was like kind of funny. I think Nelson mentioned it, but like there's a moment when we were in the back and it's like kind of funny, kind of sad because it was like pain technically, but I like could not bend over to pull my socks up. So I asked our coach and our coach, his name is Connor Duddy. He's like been to the games as an individual before. He's just like a funny, kind of like quiet, unassuming guy. And I was just sitting there and I was like, Connor, can you like pull up my socks for me? Because I had just had like some PT work done on my calves and things. And he just kind of gave me this look of disbelief. as in like, you're really asking me to pull your socks up right now. But it wasn't like a judgmental thing. Like we talked about it later. He's like, no, I was just like shocked that it like hurt that bad. And I was like, well,
and
in
then
the
like you have to
moment,
go out on the floor in like 10 minutes and snatch.
I was like, in the moment, I felt real judged for asking you to pull up my socks. So, okay.
Were there any other, besides, I mean, and I kudos to you for pushing through that. And even the idea that you were in that much pain and you still pulled 225 at all, like that's kind of crazy. Were there any other things that, you know, your team was navigating or that you knew that other teams, like, I think that's.
we had a few.
Well, so I'll start with my team and then I'll say like, so Luke has some nerve issues in his arm and they flared up real bad back in 2023 when he was at like individual semis and he like basically his arm goes white. He has zero blood flow. Like
his like two fingers like are completely different shades of color and like loses a lot of feeling in his fingers on like snatches, handstand push-ups, I think it's just like some form of like nerve pinch or impingement.
And so that like it messed with him in 2023. He's been good since then. And then like, of course, like biggest competitive moment of our lives, it decides to act up again on like the other side. So he was dealing with some basically nerve and arm issues through the whole weekend. There's a couple of pictures of us on the worm, like clean and jerks, where he's basically lifting the worm overhead with like one arm because it's that like kind of like bent arm position that like
throwing like hand around and just has no use of the one arm.
So that was kind of, you know, thankfully for us, Hannah and Riley were pretty healthy, which is good. But I mean, like Nelson said at the start, like everybody deals with stuff like that. So like I know, so my back was messed up, but I was talking to Caroline, who's one of the Mayhem girls, and it sounded like she was dealing with something similar to what I deal with like facet joint issues. Only hers has been like really bad for about a month now. So she'd barely been able to train for like a month. And so obviously like I personally know what that feels like. So to see her basically go out there with what I would imagine is similar to what I was dealing with and excel. Like, I mean, their team took second. I don't know what she pulled on the deadlift, but like, I can only imagine what that felt like for her. Right. I know I saw a bunch of people in the back. One girl had like a mega taped up shoulder, like, and it looked like that was bugging her. So it's just, I mean, at the high competitive levels, right? Like we push ourselves so much, like no sport done at the highest level is going to be safe. And at that kind of point in the season where you just have to put Band-Aids on things and ignore it and block it out because this is what you've worked for. Like, I think it's naive to expect to go into the games with like every single person on your team or every single part of your body 100%. And at that point, especially with how long and grueling the games is, it just becomes, you know, who's gritty, right? And almost like a war of attrition where who can stay healthiest the longest or find ways to work around what's going on. So like, I'll joke and I'll complain about the things that we had going on, but everybody was dealing with something. And I also think like from that first event, I think like the sled push into like the 5K the next morning and stuff like that, everybody was like limping around and everybody's like hamstrings, calves, everything were just toast from like day 2. So
yeah, that's, I mean, I think, did you mention, Nelson, that you thought something was going on with Tola at some point, or did I get that wrong?
I mean, yeah, like he seemed to be pretty, so maybe it was like a spasm like in the workout. But I mean, if you go back and watch the, which I mean, you know, hard event to watch from a spectator standpoint in and of itself, the like bar muscle up, pig flip, GHC med ball.
Yep.
Whatever the fourth movement was. It's like very clear, like the dumbbell front squat, like he would jump up to the bar and more or less be like here and then do a muscle up and then be like locked out, but like something wasn't going. Like I couldn't tell. And I mean, I thought he like torn his lat, like, cause I mean, he's clearly doing like one arm bar muscle ups, like both arms are on the bar, but he's just like everything swinging to one side. So I mean, I don't know if maybe it was a spasm in the moment, cause I mean, he pulled a crazy deadlift like you know, the next day. Worm looked fine. Snatches looked more or less fine. I think he did. Like, I don't know if he went unbroken, but went pretty dang close on Isabel. So yes, I mean, maybe it was like an in the moment kind of thing. But I watched that and I was like, oh, that. I mean, you know, that's not how the movement's supposed to be done. But he's gritting through it.
Yeah, that's well. And you said that I think it's also important to note too that you said, hey, from competition to now, we're not even a week out. You're like 5 days out from the end of your competition and you're already feeling way better. And so like, even though those acute things do come up, like I bet a lot of them settle down once you stop demanding quite so much, and anyway, it sounds like something you probably work on year round.
I think you're also like in those moments, you're so in tune with it, like, cause you're stressing about like everything in the warm up area. And like half the time, like when we got on the floor for the final event, I like didn't even feel it,
Yep.
Now there's some things that like you can't work around with that, right? Like deadlifts, GHDs, things that are like actual pressure points on whatever your issue is, whatever. But there's a lot to be said for adrenaline. And there's a lot to be said for just like the fixation of the brain on it. Like we walked off the floor after the last event. And like I said, I barely felt it during the last event. I felt great walking around Vendor Village after we were done with everything. I was honestly kind of angry about it because I was like, I bet if you asked me to go deadlift now,
right,
then you could. Oh, that's interesting.
And that's not true. It came back in like a big way on my flight later that night, which was kind of validating, honestly. I would have been really mad if that was just like cured. But yeah, you're definitely, I feel like always in the lead up to competitions and like when I'm in the warm up area and things like that, you're just like so fixated on everything that you're worried about that it just makes it out to be so much bigger. And yeah, like 4 days of complete rest can do wonders.
Right. Well, Will said, is this the first team game? So this is your first games, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Riley's been.
This was Riley's third year on a team, and this was Hannah's fourth year on a team. So they've both been around for a while. Riley's been the past 3 years. Hannah's first games, I think, was maybe 2021, Nelson. Does that sound right? So she's been around it for a little bit. But for myself and Luke, it was our first time at the games, our first time going team really in the competitive season ever. He and I both had only competed as individuals in the past. And had like decent success with that, but definitely the first time like going to the games, which was such an incredible experience. And it was so fun too. Like I had dabbled in team before, but mostly as like one-offs. Like I did a pairs competition with Hannah actually at Fit Is the Coast last year. And then Nelson and I were on a team for Crash Crescendo last year. But those were just kind of like one-off for fun. I didn't really know what the team side was, but it was like so much fun. Especially like we had such a good group. Like I've known Luke and Hannah for forever, and Riley's just like such a nice guy. And so like getting to do that experience with like 3 of your best friends, like it was a really fun time.
And I'm assuming you guys weren't necessarily all best friends before this, right? Like I know that's the common theme is like this brings you together and then you become a really tight-knit family, but you weren't necessarily that before you came together as a team.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. So Luke and I have trained together for 4 years now. So I see a question in the chat, who's Luke's coach? Luke has the same coach as I do, Connor Duddy. So he and I we've trained together since I'm like started at Solidarity, really. He went to UVA for undergrad. So we're from Charlottesville, Virginia, me, Nelson, and Luke. And Hannah before this season, she's recently moved. But so Luke and I have trained together for 4 years. Hannah also went to undergrad at UVA. So she was in Charlottesville, moved away, came back about 2 years ago. So Luke I've known for a long time. Hannah I've known for about 2 years. They've been like mine and Nelson's training partners. Riley I didn't know at all. I was not the connection. So Hannah kind of formed the team. And she knew Riley just from, they'd competed together a couple times and one-off things and just from both being around the CrossFit space for so long. And then Luke also knew Riley, again, just by association, just from, competing against each other for years and years. So with me, Luke and Hannah, and that's why it was such an easy, like, yes to go team this year. Because I was like, well, I know Luke and Hannah so well. They're 2 of my like best friends, my training partners. Like I know they're incredible people and it would be a really fun and like rewarding experience. I didn't know Riley, but I trust Luke and Hannah's judgment. And so I was like, well, if you guys say he's going to be like a good energy to go team with and he's going to be, a good athlete and a lot of fun to be around, like I'll trust you. And so it worked out. Like I think the team experience definitely brought it like the 4 of us closer together, but I also think it worked out so well the way it did because like Luke, Hannah, and I already had that established relationship, and then like Riley, Luke, and Hannah already had that established relationship, and so we already knew that it was going to gel well.
Did this experience make you want to do team at the games in the future?
Yeah, so I won't like spoil anything, but there's like a very good chance that you see the 4 of us back on the floor next year.
Okay. I feel like
don't
that was
know,
an absolute spoiler, but okay.
well, I don't even know if it's spoiling because we've all like basically mentioned it in our Instagram captions at this point anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Anything can happen, right? Like a year is a long time, life changes. But like as of now, we're definitely like heavily leaning towards going team again next year. I think like big picture things in the future. I really like competing as an individual in CrossFit as well.
Okay.
But the cool part about the landscape now is there are a lot of opportunities to compete as an individual outside of the game season and then still go team for the game season. Or like, you know, who knows in the future if I don't see team forever, like I can always go back as an individual in 2028 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even just like competing at an individual semifinal and then going team for the games. Like there's just who knows if they change the qualification structure again. Like
Sure.
you never know.
Yeah.
But there's just like a lot of paths to go on that to continue like pursuing individual growth and having fun on the floor as an individual while making team like the focus for the game season. So
Yeah. How did you guys celebrate once it was all said and done? Sunday night. What
yeah.
happened?
So I don't know, Nelson, you want to say so Nelson's with us, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, first off, I think it's just cool that in a world of like super teams of former individual athletes and, you know, just really high level, you know, like mayhem teams going to other gyms, which I mean, again, is like all totally fine, right? It's like well within the rules, like it's pretty commonplace now. I think it is like pretty unique that, you know, we're an affiliate where 3 out of the 4 individuals on the team trained there every day. You know, so I mean, I think that's cool in and of itself, and kind of launching into the fact that a lot of us have all shared a lot of experiences together. Like we all travel to competitions together. If we're doing events where one of us or, you know, only one of us is going or only a handful of us are going, we're all supporting each other, you know, and keeping tabs on what's going on throughout the weekend, whether it's like Hannah going to London and doing WFP or like, you know, all of us going to Fittest of the Coast or whatever it is. So we all like travel as a unit. And with that comes, like Luke's dad, who is like more or less our like team dad. And like, you know, he's in some of those videos. If you go back and watch the live stream, I think the funniest thing is as freaked out as the team was going, or like, you know, in the process of that last event with like the fumble on the worm and trying to get across. Yeah. I think he was probably the most nervous out of anybody. And you can actually see him on the broadcast as they're lunging to the finish, a man who is usually extremely animated and like screaming his lungs out, is just like telling them to stay calm and just like, it's okay. Like just get across the line. Like, cause I don't think he knew like where it was all going to end up. Let's say he usually like, you know, goes everywhere with us and like, is just our, you know, like cheerleader and sometimes, sideline coach and, or like, you know, backseat coach. And he loves, I think, you know, his love language is taking us all out to dinner at the end of competitions. So, I mean, you know, we went to a steakhouse like in San Jose and like had like a back room for like 20 people. He had like the menu customized to say like, congratulations, solidarity, like at the top. Gosh. Like, I mean, just the most over the top thing, like more or less forces me to order like a tomahawk steak.
Oh, like, he forced you, huh?
I mean, like
against your will.
Like, you know, well, I mean, not against my will, but against like embarrassment and shame. So, you know, like I kind of had to, you know, do that to appease him. But
wait,
but yeah,
what
I
do
mean,
you mean? How is that?
Yeah, no, I mean, he is like, you need to order. Like, I mean, at first, I mean, back in 2023 semis, which was the first interaction, which I mean, like, I think, you know, not to get completely derail the story, but I mean, like, he's the kind of guy to just like, I met Luke in 22 and then, you know, we started training together because we were close-ish to each other. And then we more or less, I moved up to Charlottesville to be with them. And then he qualified for an individual semi in 23. I did not. But he more or less, his dad came to me and was like, hey, and this was when it was in Orlando. He's like, I'm paying for your ticket. I'm paying for your airline ticket. You're staying on the couch. Like, I want you down there. I know he wants you down there and it's like going to be good for you. And like, yeah, like during that dinner that night, you know, he looks at both Luke and I and he's like, you guys are too light. Like you need to put on more weight and like force fed us the entire night. which actually was the start of all the stomach issues I was dealing with. So I'm not
so we're
blaming
blaming him now, huh?
That's what it sounds like.
But yeah, I mean, like, he's an awesome guy.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, and
His
like,
fault.
he loves just like going over the top just to, show his appreciation for, how cool it is that we get to do the stuff that we do. And
That's so cool.
so he that's, so we definitely did it up big on Sunday night. And then, I more or less went immediately from that to then walking over to the convention center and helping break down the WODprep booth. So
Literally, yeah, you ate a tomahawk and then came over and
Yeah.
you were not good. I definitely like don't know why I didn't think about it. And it was like towards the end of that last day I don't know, sometime during that day. And I was like, oh yeah, after the recap show, I got to get back down the street and break down the booth. And Ben,
little Ben's just sitting there in the convention center by himself, just like,
poor guy.
And I felt bad. Like, I talked to him several points throughout the weekend, and he actually really enjoyed it. But he's like, like, I was just like hanging out by myself for like a good chunk of the evening while, like Claire's doing the recap show and Nelson's with the team. And I was like, I felt bad. And I was like, hey, you can come hang out with us. He's like, honestly, like, it's really nice just being by myself. So I was like,
I think he had a great time. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like he spent the entire weekend like working with others and like
he's always on go.
Yeah, it might have been nice for him to have a little bit of a break.
Actually, let me go ahead and pull that up even just while you're on here. Give me just a second. Let me get to the right tab. So that's what Ben does at these events, of course, is just works with individuals the entire time on their skills and so on. It's really cool because he's such an effective coach for that. So this was a post that yesterday Sydney Peterson made, which was so cool. She said one of the coolest moments of the CrossFit Games weekend was just getting to meet Ben from WODprep. If you've been following me for a while, you already know the story of my first ring muscle up. I'll probably tell it forever because it represents so much more than a gymnastic skill. I spent a lot of time reminding myself not to compare my timeline to anyone else's. I watch beginners walk into CrossFit and surpass me quickly with everything. That's just the reality of living in a body with cerebral palsy. And so she was a competitor at the games. I believe she finished in 4th in her division. And so anyway, just super cool for her to get to come over to the booth and meet him. And then she even posted the video of when she got that first ring muscle up. And she's the first person in her division that has ever gotten a ring muscle up. And I believe she is still the only one as of this time. But like, so for her to be so just, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to get this done. Anyway, it was really cool to get to meet her. And this is, and one of the things that, Ben played a huge role in making this happen. He coached, his coaching helped me look at the movement differently. He gave me tools and personalized feedback to accomplish something I wasn't sure my body could ever do. And so that was when I had the opportunity to speak with her when she came over to the booth. She was just, saying how one of the things that I observed getting to be on the team and be in those coaching calls that he does weekly within the community, like his determination to get athlete skills is often greater than their own determination to get the skill. And so it's really fun to see something like that, like that unlock. I mean, that'll go with her for life. And she's the one that ultimately did the work and didn't give up, but just for him to also come alongside her and not give up and be like, yeah, we're going to figure this out. We'll just keep trying new stuff. And they got it done, which is so cool.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a difference maker, and it's so impactful when you talk about like good coaches or invested coaches in the space is like when you can tell that they are like more invested in your growth or your success than even you are. Like it makes such a difference. And I think with Ben, you can tell that like he's so genuine and so passionate in all of his interactions. Like even with people that he's just met who are just trying to learn something, like he truly cares and it truly matters to him. Yeah. Like you having this breakthrough or this success. And it's really cool to see.
Yeah. And it stands out to me too, because he's been doing it for like a while, like he's not new to this.
He's going into his 20th year, I think.
Yeah. The number of double unders, muscle ups, you name it, that he has coached athletes to acquire is, I don't know, probably certainly in the hundreds, if not in the thousands. And so it is so cool to see that still to this day, he lights up at the opportunity and he's super effective at it. So really, really cool. And then Logan, you coach at an affiliate right now, right?
Yeah. So I'm a coach at, I guess I'm formerly a coach at Solidarity, which is the affiliate that we competed out of this year, but I'm actually moving to Huntsville in 5 days now, where I'm going to be working at and coaching and running Riley's affiliate down there. So
Yeah.
awesome.
So Riley not only came in
Congratulations.
and poached my spot on the team, but then took one of my coaches.
yeah, well, when you put it like that, it sounds pretty bad, but
No, it's okay. It's all good. I mean, yeah, we're super happy for Logan, and luckily for me, like I'll still get to see her at least once a week through a lot of the stuff that we do in WODprep on some of our calls. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been cool to see her like basically go from like having a full-time, like very well-paying engineering job to like, you know, going full-fledged into the space. And again, like it's a situation where like you got to really want to make a difference and you got to really want to enjoy it, because like it ain't the world's best money maker, at least at first. So
yeah, speaking of that, so it's a completely different career field, but I was a real estate agent, and let me tell you, it was a lot easier to be comfy cozy financially in that. And then I ventured into this coaching / all the different roles, whatever. And the purpose is so deep for me that I'm just like, that is a repercussion that I fully accept. But what kind of for you made you want to make that transition?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first like finished college and finished grad school and went into like my industry, I thought I had found my dream job, and like on paper, it definitely was my dream job. But I also think we get so tied up in this traditional way of thinking of like, oh yeah, like you go to school, you get a degree, you work in that degree, and that just like is what it is. And the more time I spent like in the CrossFit space and like learning more about myself and interpersonal relationships and just like fitness and seeing so many other people who walked so many different paths in life. I think like Nelson's a great example, right? Like you did it way before I did, where it's like, yeah, you have this degree and you have this like work background, but you decided you wanted to do something different and follow something that you were passionate about. And you've transformed this whole career around something that you actually truly care about. And so the longer I was in my job, which I liked my job, it was cool. It was great. It paid well. But the more time I spent there, the more I realized I just wasn't really passionate about it. And if I was going to be doing something that I wasn't passionate about, I didn't want to be spending so much of my time, energy, and effort on it when there are other things that I think are like worth pursuing. And so basically end of last year, I just decided I was coming up on like my 5th year with my company. And I was like, well, now feels like as good a time as ever. Like, I feel like if I stay now, I'm going to stay another 5 years and I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing now. And I'm not going to be happy with it. So why not just like, you know, make a leap, try it out and see what happens. And my intention was not at the time to like, okay, I'm going to quit my engineering role and go into coaching. Like, I didn't really know what came next. I just knew I didn't want to do what I was doing then. And so I built myself a little bit of a buffer. I talked to my boss in October of 2025 and said basically like, hey, like I'll finish out the year, but I'd like to be done, you know, end of the year. And my plan was to use those 3 months to decide like what came next. But that's when literally 2 days later, and I feel like there's just some moments that like you're just in the right place at the right time and the universe just lines up perfectly. Because literally 2 days later, Luke approached me about going team with them. And I was like, well, I'm about to have a ton of flexibility. So like, sure, I can travel wherever, I can line up my training sessions. Like, what if I just take a little 6-month sabbatical, essentially? I'll coach at the gym. I'll get more involved in kind of that side of things. Nelson had talked with me about starting with WODprep at that point. So why don't I just start that up and then I'll figure out what comes next, like after the game season. And then kind of during that journey was when I started getting like really involved at Solidarity and understanding that like, I really liked coaching and I really liked working with people, and that like if I could find a way to kind of make that more of my full-time role or get more and more involved with that, then that was really where I wanted to be long-term. And then like with Riley coming into the picture, it was really just like such perfect timing. Cause so his gym, it's about 2 years old. And he and his wife are having a baby literally like 2 weeks from now. Maybe. So he also, I don't know how he does what he does. He has so many things going on. And so he was basically being pulled in so many different directions that he didn't feel like he could kind of like take the gym in the direction that he wanted to take it in terms of overall growth. And so he was like, well, you know, like I'm going to need someone to help out, to step in, to like coach classes, help me grow, help me run my business. Like, sounds like that's what you're looking to do. What do you think about moving to Huntsville, Alabama? And I was like, okay. And here we are. It really didn't take much convincing because, again, I think when the universe kind of like lines up in certain ways, you're just crazy not to listen to it.
So and his gym, so you're at Solidarity now with Nelson, but you're going to be moving to home base in Alabama.
Camp. Yeah, base camp.
Sorry, thank you.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Base camp.
Yeah, so I'll be moving. I drive down on Wednesday, actually. So my apartment is a mess right now. I'm like frantically. I put a lot of things off until after the games without realizing that after the games is like a week. So I'm like,
oh yeah. Hey, let me ask you too. So I asked Nelson, but he kind of took a vacation. So I usually get like some post-event blues, or maybe not even blues, but like I definitely emotionally, like I just got some post-games sleepies this year. Like I just was a tired girl. What was it like for you the past 5 days emotionally and so on, coming off of this monumental event in your life?
I think I've slept more in the past week than I have in the past like 3 months, probably. Because I mean, that's exactly one, I was like really tired, but two, I think that's exactly it. Like you gear up and you do this really, really amazing thing. And then you just kind of walk away from it and go back into like life. And you're just like, well, how am I supposed to just go back to what I was doing or be like a normal person after that? Like, does anybody, I'm like walking around the grocery store and I'm like, do any of you realize like
does anybody know
I just did? Like,
as Logan's wearing her singlet,
as I'm wearing the singlet that Melissa I'm like, ask me questions, please. No.
This is so true. I got to talk to one of the MCs who MC'd for the first time at the divisionals this year about it. And he was like, I'm getting really tired of trying to explain to people who just don't understand what just happened, And I was like, well, I guess that means we'll just need to be involved every year forever from here on out, because
exactly.
They're not going to get it,
Yeah.
It's also just like the name of the game in the sport, though. I mean, like the amount of times that all of us like have been out, like, playing like pickleball or like just out doing stuff, and people are just like, you guys bodybuilders? And it's like, yeah, sure. Like we'll take that like better.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's what they think.
Just like explaining like all of it.
Yeah. I had to take my car in to get like some maintenance and stuff done before I do like a big road trip. And she was like the sweetest, oldest woman like ever, was also dropping her car off. And so we were like in the car together because they were like driving us back to wherever we lived and everything. And she was so cute because I was wearing like a tank top, and obviously like you can tell that I like work out. And so she was like asking me all these questions. She's like, well, where do you do like fitness? Like, you're obviously like so fit. Look at your arms. And I was like, you're so cute. And I was like explaining to her, or trying to explain to her, I was like, oh yeah, I go to Solidarity CrossFit. It's actually like right over the hill, because we were like kind of close to where the gym was. And she's like, no, do you have like a personal trainer? And I was like, all right. I could launch on this whole conversation about like competing and my coach and blah, 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 blah. Or we'll just go with the route of just like, oh, it's like group fitness oriented. Like it's tons of fun if you're ever interested. But it's so funny in interactions like that, where you're just reminded that like, that's not the norm for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think like, it's really cool in like society these days. Like more and more often I'm having like really, really positive comments on like my body or what I look like, or just like inspiration kind of takes, versus I feel like it hasn't always been like that. I don't know. And so it's just cool to have like conversations like that, where it's like, you have no idea what I do with all of my time, but let me take this like little 5-minute car ride to give you just like a little glimpse of it.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. It definitely, one of the like, so getting back at some point when I got back, I don't know if it was while I was still there or just after. Anyway, I received a message from a friend that I've had for years that I know from outside of CrossFit, who was just like, hey, I'd like to prep for a couple of different things in life, and was wondering if you could like remote train me. And it was just so nice, because to be able to be like, actually, and I love the question. And I was just like, actually, in this situation, I just need you to go to your local affiliate. That's actually just going to be the best experience, because also the community side of it and so on. And it's just so nice. Obviously there's a place for one-on-one coaching. We do that. We're huge fans of it. But for someone just trying to get, into a rhythm with their own fitness and so on, going from not necessarily having that in place. It was just nice to be like, the best bang for your buck is absolutely going to be getting classes, get coached, get the community, get the, anyway. So, and then too, you mentioned like the positivity towards like people noticing it and saying things. I think one of the things that none of us got to be present for, but that did happen at the games, was the owners and coaches conference and different things there. And I know that the Jenna Haka addressed the room from the media perspective. I think a couple of different people did. And so Souza, on his recap show that he did yesterday, talked more at length about this. He was actually able to be present. So I'm going to paraphrase briefly, but definitely would encourage anybody who wants to hear more of that to go listen to him talk about it, since he was actually there. But it was just really cool to hear that like the focus and game plan from a media perspective at this point, coming directly from HQ, is just like, we're not doing necessarily campaigns. Like, we're just telling stories. Like, we're just these are the people that are in the affiliates training, whether it's someone like Logan who is training for the games, or you, Nelson, as well, or if it's the person who's just getting back into, all the broad range, and doing it in their native languages, because this is a global methodology. And it was just really cool to hear the messaging around that, of just like, what we really need to do is just spam the stories and help the world understand that CrossFit truly is for anyone willing to work hard, and you certainly don't need to be fit to do it, and so to start doing it. And we know that, but to hear that they're really going to drive the mission on the media side of things towards building that awareness is really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I think just even it's one of those things that, like, the spots that they're playing in the arena, like in between events, right? Or even like in between the live stream, like, are super powerful. And like, I want to see them, extended out onto like nationally broadcasted events, right? Which, I mean, I know, like, just is lots of money and lots of like placement, but I mean, I think like the stories are like so evident there, right? I mean, it's so many different affiliates that we see, right? I mean, like, even for us, like we train like an affiliate that, a lot of the times when like Logan and I are training together, we're training in like around like what we call like our like Strong for Life class, which are like individuals in their like early to mid 70s and 80s, right? Yeah. And like, we're like doing ring muscle ups, and they're like deadlifting almost their body weight, right? Like, we're like, so I mean, but and it's one of those like mutual, like, all they do is like talk about how cool it is, that the stuff that we do. And then all we do is turn around and be like, no, like, I mean, yeah, like the stuff we're doing is cool and we appreciate that. Like, also, like, you guys are like getting after it, like, more than anybody else, like your age, right? It's like, there's a very much like mutual respect and like admiration for like what we're all doing. And like, yeah, I mean, that's happening in so many affiliates. I feel like that's definitely the way that CrossFit needs to be, putting out why it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think like the CrossFit effect or whatever, like, it's so real. Like, I think all it takes, if you can get people in the door, like 9 times out of 10, I feel like that's enough to justify or to show to them like what the magic of it is. Cause I feel like, especially when, if you just see the games or whatever, you just have this vision or this image or something, but it's so different than what goes on in affiliates every single day. Yeah. And like Nelson said, like, yeah, I mean, we do really difficult and really cool things, but I feel like it's even more inspiring for me seeing somebody who's, walking off the street with no fitness background, who's like scared to be there, and then you just watch their growth over like months of consistent like class attendance, and you're just like, you're doing amazing things that you never thought was possible, and you're also like in your 70s. Like, I think that's honestly cooler than 99% of the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah. And it's cool because, again, I'll tie it back to, integrating health hubs, the CrossFit Medical Society, and so on. Like, as we continue to get that more into more affiliates, like, that's another really cool data point. We have all of these data points already in place of like, they come in, they, their capacities are what they are via whatever benchmarks we want to test for them and so on. And then observing those improving over time, whether it's what, their deadlift or what, we have so many options for that, but even to incorporate blood work and so on, and see all of the internal improvements that take place in all, anybody who gets involved is pretty freaking sweet. So yeah.
And Logan's a community member too.
Oh yeah, you're on community care.
I am. Yeah. I use Nelson's referral code actually. I think
Right.
Oh,
Well, maybe we should
yeah.
put it across the screen. Like,
Hey, I have one too.
yeah. I think Ben does. I think WODprep
Yes,
does.
he does. Yeah, he certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people can literally just use like code WODprep or whatever in order to sign up for it, which yeah, it's, if you haven't checked that out yet, what are you doing? So
I mean, just like even to brag on that a little bit too, right? Like, I mean, just from we all obviously know how awesome it is just from a community standpoint, but like, man, like after turning 26 and getting kicked off of my parents' insurance, like I did a couple of months of private insurance and it was so expensive and like wouldn't cover like half the stuff that I actually needed it to.
Sure.
And community care like literally cut that in half and like not only covered like everything that I needed to do with like my own health issues, but like PT, like everything. So like it's solid. I got nothing but great things to say about it. So if you're not on it, get on it.
Yep. And I love it. The uninsured thing that they promote. I love it. There's let's see if I can pull this up too. They posted something and
their marketing is really good.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Add that back. Yeah. So I love it. Insurance and then co-insurance, over-insurance, and then uninsurance, a philosophy and system of healthcare financing that joyfully rejects modern U.S. health insurance and third-party payers in favor of voluntary, transparent, and direct financial relationships between patients and doctors. I just love that their like tagline is uninsured. And it's nice for me. Actually, I totally opted out of the health insurance model altogether. And I'm not saying that to each their own. I just was so annoyed about the whole thing that I was like, I'm not getting involved. So it's really nice to now be like, okay, yes, I'm still cash pay, but I have help. So that if something happens. So anyway, okay, Logan, thank you very much for your time this morning. We're going to bop to a handful of other topics now, but
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Congratulations again for being top 10. I'm excited to see whatever you're not spoiling here that is in regards to competing at the games in the future. And also congratulations on your new role over at Base Camp.
Base Camp, yep.
Thank you. I'm like, oh gosh.
You wearing the shirt?
Yeah, I am.
She's already burned all of her solidarity gear. So.
That's not true. They're just packed somewhere. It's not my fault.
Oh man.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you later. Let me get this and this. Cool. Wow. We are large on the screen. Maybe that?
Yeah.
Whatever. It's fine. Cool. She's awesome. I'm really excited you brought her into the WODprep fam.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. Just like our interactions, we are very much like the brother and sister of the group. Like that was probably as cordial as you'll ever see the two of us interact. Like we fight constantly. So, and for some reason I thought that, you know, despite the bickering that we constantly do and arguing on topics, that I was like, yeah, no, like let's bring her into the team. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been really cool to just see her growth too, man. I mean, she started, I mean, I'm in my 11th year doing this, and she started around the same time that I got to Solidarity, maybe like a little bit before. And just to see like her go from like, just, you know, figuring out what CrossFit is to like competing at the games in such a short amount of time, I mean, is obviously like a kick in the butt to me to like get my shit together, but also just really, really cool to see, you know, someone like become so invested and involved like in such a short period of time. So it's been cool to have her around.
That's so cool. And yeah, I mean, I can, in a completely different career path and realistically life path, I can relate so heavily to her. And, you know, you can too, right? Of where we just kind of like over the course of time. And I suppose that time horizon for all of us is unique, but get sucked in further and further and further. And I talked about it again on, you know, I've been kind of obnoxious on my own social media this week about it, but just what this has given me is so much more than I bargained for. Right. Seeing Annie get her first ring muscle up all the way back then on YouTube and being like, what is that? You know? Yeah. And then, okay, anyway, the journey to getting involved and so on. And it was like, you know, I know that part of it for me was I wanted to like those people were cool to me. Like CrossFitters were cool. And I really wanted to hang out with those people. Like I wanted to be a part of that crowd. Right. And of course I certainly wanted to become more capable with my physical body, and just had no freaking clue that what it was going to come with over the course of time was this broader global community of individuals that are so high level in their approach to life that I mean, like, I don't believe that I had the work ethic. I don't, you crack me up. I'm like clinging to what you were saying to your team about like, yeah, she's on her girl boss, whatever. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure.
But I really think that I have a lot of that. I suppose I have always been I enjoy working hard. So there is that, but either way, this community, like they work hard, right? So just if you're around people who are like that, you're likely to be like that. And so it just gives so much more than we show up asking of it, for sure.
And I think too, like even if you don't, like, it teaches it, right? Like, I mean, you know, I've seen lots of people who came into the gym more or less forced, like unmotivated, and like, you know, just whether it's the community factor or the own like intrinsic like willingness to want to be better that like you maybe didn't know you had. Like, you know, I think that people take CrossFit as like this means of like, you have to be like a type A person, or you have to like, you know, do things a certain way. And like, I think in terms of, you know, the whole, like, it's not for everybody, but it's for anybody kind of thing. Like, it really rings true. And just the idea of, you know, you don't have to be a specific type of person, but it's going to like turn you into a specific type of person. I mean that in like the most uplifting way of like, you know, like when I started, like I was like, I mean, I was also like a teenager, but just like had no idea what I wanted to do, was like relatively unmotivated, just kind of thought I'd like figure shit out. And just like, you know, it teaches you like that you have to go about it the right way. Right. Mm-hmm. Like there's no shortcuts, like you just, you know, and you just gotta figure it out. Right. And I mean, I think that that's the most important thing. So I think for anybody that like feels like you need to come in and like go like full throttle all at once, like you don't. You literally just like what Logan said, like you like walk in the door and you just like keep coming, and like it figures itself out.
Right. Yeah. Justin said a cool comment about Logan gave up engineering to focus on people, fitness, community. Freaking awesome. I love it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and pivot over to back to games related or games athlete related things that are not us. So start here.
August, the Brute team has WODprep SoCal coming up, which, you know, I won't mention much more than that, but the entire Brute team will be out there competing.
So day or two before that, whenever Boys Interrupted happened, Justin made a comment about this. And then I think it was Justin. Anyway, they like alluded to something for WODprep SoCal being different. And then next thing you know, yeah, did you see this?
No, I didn't. So this is super cool. I saw the clip of Torres talking about SoCal, which I mean, I was just going to allude to the whole, like what happened last year and like training volume, all that kind of stuff. But this is wicked.
Yeah. So I don't think we have much, you know, so since Justin said that, then I was like, okay, well, is he technically in a camp? Because they do have, you know, well, they have Danielle, him, and then Trista. And so maybe so, but I'm like, what's the camps going to be? Right. So this is going to be really interesting to see. Yes, Fraser Farm said, but James acted like he didn't know if he was going to be invited this year. Yeah. I think even right now, if you go to his either stories or page, I think he's even just like, wonder if they'll invite me this year. So, so what about non-camp? I don't know. So maybe you're saying they put together a team of like, you know,
which non-camp team is still like, you got some strong.
Yeah. So this will be interesting. Are they going to continue with the cup the way that it's been? Are they going to not do that this year at all? Or, you know, like what will this look like? Who knows? I mean, they're going to start to tease out, and they did start to tease out some stuff. This will be really cool to see. Cause I mean, one thing about WODapalooza, like it's going to be a vibe and they know what they're doing. And so it'll be exciting to see.
It's shocking that like this honestly like hasn't been done yet. Like, I think that it's a really friendly way. And I mean, like we were joking, cause I think we were in the WODprep house when we saw like the Brute Championship posts, like calling out all of the camps more or less, which like you would say is a controversial thing. But when you just took 4 out of the 6 spots on the podium and also went 1-2, I think in both, like, or whatever it was, like, I mean, you can say whatever you want. So, I mean, but I think there are going to be a lot of these camps that like want to turn around and like, you know, like, bark back, right? So I think,
For
if
sure.
that is the format, I think that's awesome. That's
Yeah, it'll be
great.
cool. That was that post. It said it's a proven fact. We came to cause mayhem, and hard work does pay off. Or hard work pays off, and capitalizing and abbreviating and so on perfectly. Like that post was. You're the one that saw it first.
I mean,
and
yeah,
that
he
was
100%
just
had
so
that
good.
in the chamber before the competition even started. So
Totally.
I mean, he scheduled that post and queued it up as soon as the competition ended.
So good, so good. So that's going to be fun to see play out. Then I think that, let's see, where do we want to go next? We got options. We'll go here.
So this, I am far from done. I have thought about it so many times, and I do think that catching Fraser's 5 is possible. I do think that I can be the guy to do it. And I don't see any reason why I have to limit myself to what I've done now. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he gets every right to say that. I think that it's one of those things that I'm curious to see what just the games format looks like next year. Not even like what the athlete's performance is, right? You talk about 20 events in terms of what that means and the point spread for some of these athletes, right? I mean, the final event was still tight, right? I think Fraser had 3 out of 5 where he had the workout locked out going into the last day, let alone the last event. So I mean, it's a bold statement, but he's a bold guy. So it's nothing that I'm surprised to see. And I think that you have to have that confidence, right? If you're going to be doing this as a professional athlete, I think people think that he's cocky, and I think that objectively he is, but you see what he does with it, right? So I'm not surprised at all by the statement. I am curious to see if we return to 13 events, and then if that happens, what the point spread would then potentially look like amongst all the athletes there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a bold thing to say, but when you've won 2, you're the only one in the field besides Justin who gets the opportunity to say it. So
yeah, and going back to 13 events, I mean, there's definitely already been conversation. I want to say even Dave on his weekend review maybe addressed it, but about getting the number of events not continuing to be as great as it was. And of course, the creativity to get there. There certainly has been conversation, and they did a kind of a recap show, I know, with JR and so on yesterday, I think. I haven't had a chance to get through that yet, and I'm looking forward to it because I'm curious what they say and think about it. But just curious your thoughts in regards to the 50-point events. Having 50 points and having 50-point events in general, do you like it or dislike it? And then also what the 50 points events were
I'm
versus
totally
not.
Butcher this, but I definitely heard, because I think Boys Interrupted went live or on Monday, Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
And they talked about some statistic where if the 50-point events were 100-point events, I think Dallin wins.
Correct.
Or something like that.
Yes.
Which you can speculate all day long, right? I was with either you or I was with the team in the car, and I was doing the math, and I think it was a situation where with where James finished in the last event, Dallin could have won and it still wouldn't have mattered, right? So I mean, you can do that kind of speculation all day long. I mean, I think that the 50-point events in terms of breaking the total down was a way to get it to 20. Right. Because you can't feasibly ask the athletes to do 2 more events that aren't within the same stimulus and scope of how the total was, where you're essentially doing everything back to back, and you're already kind of dampened because you've just done 2 events. But I mean, I think that they're fine in that regard, but I think it was just kind of a means to get to 20, which is fine. I mean, that's part of the sport, right? It's the spectacle of it. I wouldn't like to see any 50-point events next year, right? I mean, I think that things should be 100. Now, remind me, was the forward to backward support workout 100-point event? It was on its own.
I thought it was a 50-point event.
Okay.
We could,
because honestly, my opinion, watching that live, in the venue, I thought it was awesome. I really liked the race that ended up happening. And I think that it's, again, like something where like you have something relatively new and unknown that like gets thrown out there and you have to adapt to it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those hard things where you have to, okay, so yeah, the Justin saying the ring event was 50 points. And it's tricky, right? Because I know you take someone like Justin Medeiros, who like won the game twice. So like won the games twice, like knows what it's like to be there. And you can argue like having the title of Fitness on Earth means that you were able to adapt the most. And he turned around and I think struggled on the ring event. But I mean, it's just one of those things that like it's an ever-changing landscape and you just have to adapt with it and be ready. And like there's going to be things that you aren't good at, and I guarantee you in a year Justin's going to be really, really good at forward and backward supports. I mean, I thought that event was really cool, and I think that like in a vacuum it could be 100-point event, and I still think it would be really cool. Because even just from like a spectator standpoint, like I thought it was done very well in terms of like, yes, it was 4 minutes and it was short, but like it was pretty popping the entire time. And like, you know, even into the, like you had people in the earlier heats setting really good times, like that makes things competitive. Like, you know, the race between like Paige and Ariel was really cool. The race basically eyeing back and forth between like James and Dallin was really cool. So I mean, yeah, like I think that event in itself was awesome and could have been a 100-point event. And I'd like to see something like that in the future, but not as a 50-point event.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, as far as like experientially, I think that was literally one of the favorite events for those that were in the arena, for sure. I mean, that the energy for that one was so high. And I said this on the recap show, but it's certainly true that like what we did get to witness was the athletes surprise themselves over and over and over again. Right. And it is not that often that we get to observe them do that on the competition floor. You know, so often the workouts that they do are things that they are so calculated. They have done their 10,000 hours. They know what to expect of themselves.
Done the workout like already.
Yeah, right. And so there was something really special about that. You know, I think I want to say didn't Lucy Campbell get like her first ever back roll potentially? Either way, her coming down and just the shock that she expressed was just so cool to watch that play out. And then another, as far as the 50-point events goes, you know, the conversation in regards to, okay, so the 7,200s, the run and the ski row, both being 100-point events, but the 500 meter being 50 points, you know, is another one that people were conversing about. And so I really want to go back and listen and see what those guys said. So I love to come back to like making these decisions is above my pay grade and I don't need to, but I think it is quite interesting, you know, that, okay. And then even you get to the total and it's like, so would you then have made that in a traditional, say that there were 14 events? And so the total would then be one 100-point event. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Versus, okay, cool. So then it technically would have been worth slightly less in that type of an environment.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I think that helps out athletes who, you know, are like across the board, like maybe like despite having like a heavier deadlift relative to like their strict press and their squat, like it helps them out as opposed to like someone who, you know, is pretty steadily above average all the way across the board and is just going to have like a more even keel placement on that event. But I mean, you know, I think that it's just a situation where like it to me, just the only reason why it was 350-point events was to make it that way. I also think in general too, and like CJ and I talked about this, and I think you as well, like I would have liked to have seen the other total. Just because
a lot of people said that.
Like, yeah, like just it's I like, you know, it's more of a spectacle. I think you see more people wearing their singlets, which we didn't really see outside of the Body Blueprint team, which shout out to them for wearing it on the deadlift workout. But
James wore his under his or over, under his shorts. Like he was wearing it.
Oh, really? Did not know.
Yeah. Well, he had a leader one. He had a red one.
Oh, no way. Okay. That's
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, you know, I think that it's a little, I mean, for me at least, almost like a little too early to like really digest like the events in reference to like what I'd like to see next year. But yeah, I mean, I think that I think my only situation where I'd like to see 50-point events, if it's a 2-part event that's individual, that's both 50 points, like maybe like taking something like Jackie Pro and like making like the row worth something more to entice people to just like send it or something like that.
Yeah. yes, obviously this is a creative way to get, but I mean, collectively, like this games, I'm excited to see what happens on an affiliate level, on a CrossFitter, everyday CrossFitter level of like triple unders, back roll, forward roll, even press, press to support, press to handstand.
Press the handstand, yeah.
Thank you. All of these different things that came up, I'm excited to see. These are where, the games has always been where people get inspiration. And so there's a lot of inspiration that happened. And so whether or not all the opinions about what the point should have been or not been or whatever, again, that's just, I think it's a fun conversation topic, and I don't need to have a strong opinion about it.
Like how main site takes it, like, because that's always like a good area to kind of see like what they're flirting with. But then also, I think seeing things like, we saw crossover double unders in 22, and then 23 saw crossover singles in quarterfinals, right? And then haven't seen him since. Like, I'd be curious to see kind of like what that progression looks like.
Right.
I think it's one of those things that I'd love to see, because I like those kind of skills. In terms of what this stage looks like, I think will play a factor. Like, I think for something like quarterfinals, which another thing we can kind of quickly pivot to is just, I saw that the Athlete Council set out their kind of wishes and requests for the next season, which I think are all great. I sent that to our games team chat, and we were talking about that, and I loved all of the things that they proposed. Outside of and not even I didn't like the idea of cuts at the games, but I like the idea of expanding it back to 40. I also know realistically what that means financially for the games, and how that's not the most viable option.
And even just having so many heats, it's just a lot.
Yeah, just all of it. But I mean, I think that be curious to see just how that role of the Athlete Council and the CAC kind of expands as the sport grows. In the future.
It'll be interesting to see how they take all of those suggestions, requests, and what they do with them,
if they take. But
right. Okay, I want to go again. I'm going to move us along to the next thing. This is kind of in alignment with the Spragues, thinking, hey, maybe I go for Fraser's 5.
Notice he didn't talk about Tia's 7 though, so
not yet. There's another thing to chase first.
I don't think I got audio for it.
Say that again.
I don't think I have audio for it if you're playing it.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. It says your browser has lost connection to your screen share audio. Oh, okay. So I need to just give me just a second. I'll pull this again. And we'll try again. It just said that I need to reconnect it and see if that works.
Is that Kevin in the chat?
Say what?
We got code across with IronView 269. I don't know if
maybe so.
Or somebody, but
what's good, Kevin? Okay, wait, can you hear this?
But we got captions.
Oh, well, that's lame. Here, I can stop sharing. Anyway, I think I'm going to try one more time, because this leads into something that Tia said. Try this one more time. See if this works.
To come back.
There we go.
Tia.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll go here.
Quite interesting to see if she's an enticing carrot to come back for Tia, because Tia now gets to observe someone else be dominant. And that's going to be interesting to see. Does she want to come back and prove a point?
Yeah.
Can she?
I mean, what point would she be proving?
She can win height.
Literally just that she can do just that she's unbeatable. I mean, and she's already proven that.
Right.
But just drive it home a little bit further. I mean, have we seen someone more competitive ever in our sport than Tia-Clair Toomey?
Nope.
So then let's see. Moving on to what Tia had to say.
This past weekend, the CrossFit Games held their 20th anniversary. They had these athletes do 20 competitions, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 20 individual events. This right here is Amy Kringle. She just won took first place, dominated, clean swept the women's side. She won by 100 plus points, completely dominated. If you keep up with CrossFit at all, you know the queen of CrossFit is one Tia Toomey right here. This is what she has to say about Amy.
How do you feel about Amy Kringle? She looks like she's getting good, right?
She is getting very good. She has done an incredible job this weekend, a very dominant performance. And, I really love her as a person. She's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But, man, I'd love to compete against her.
You see the gears turning. Yeah, I mean, I feel
But
like
man, I'd love to compete against her.
like I feel like we saw this with, and I mean, they're very different individuals. Like, I feel like, but you saw this with Rich, right? Like in 14, right? Like you saw what was potentially going to be like the rise of Fraser, and then like Ben snuck in there and crushed it. But like, I think that it's like, because the question then came back in like 15, 16, 17. It went on for a while of like, oh, well, Rich has won 4. Like, at the time when Matt had only won like 2 or 3, it's like, well, like, would you come back? And like, you have like really not much to gain, and you have like everything to lose. Like, and you've already kind of proven it, right? And I mean, to her credit, like she's built a crazy business, like, doing really awesome things, like is coaching. We're not coaching, but like involved in the process of coaching lots of other games athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. She's coaching.
I mean, I'm sure she wants to. And what's crazy is I'm sure that she could get to, a semifinal, whether it's Torian or whatever, and get through it pretty easily. I mean, yeah, watching what Amy did was really impressive. Again, it's just one of those like, and I by no means am like throwing like asterisks around, right? But like, much different format than what we've seen in the past, right? With 20 events. Yeah. I think in a 14 event field, Amy's lead is potentially even higher. But I mean, I think it's for someone who's shown time and time again, anytime that she steps onto the games, like it's not really close outside of her first title with Cara in 17. Like, I think that she's shown it, and it would just be like what would eight's more than 7, but outside of that, like, she's still like the fittest woman in history and like fittest athlete in our sport in history. So I don't know what it would prove outside of, like 8 being more than 7.
So if you had to make a guess right this moment, you have to say, I think Tia is or is not coming back in 2027. What is your guess?
I mean, I would say she does the Open. I would say she does the Open and like maybe does quarterfinals. I don't think she competes at the games.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I didn't think she was going to compete in 24.
5.
And she did. I also don't think both 4 and 5, right? Like, so I mean,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe it was 4 where she was pregnant. I can't even remember now.
I think it was 4 when she was pregnant.
Like, she has 2 kids now, right?
Now,
like that whole thing became like such a blur, and like and the fact like in the midst of all of that, she has 7 titles like in 9 years is absurd. So yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know what it would prove. I don't think she competes. I think that she branches into like more of her role, improving and potentially even in CrossFit.
I think she comes back.
Yeah.
I just think, and yet again, these are pure speculations at best. But what I said there, have we ever had an athlete that's more competitive? No. And we've had, I mean, obviously that could be an argument too, was Matt, so on, right? But I just would like to speculate that she returns because she can keep winning, like she could. Yeah. And that's pretty wild.
I mean, I think just like if you look at the type of like something like, like Laura, obviously incredibly fit. I don't see her potentially returning to the sport, or returning in like,
to the game specifically.
To the game specifically. Yeah. But I mean, I think that if we look at like the body type, just in terms of like what the sport demands, especially in the last couple of years where like the sports demanded more and more aerobic output with like with just running in general, like Amy fits that bill really, really well, and like is
Mhm.
probably the closest cut to Tia in terms of like that build of athlete. Because like if we look at Cara, very different style of athlete, much more power output, much more like barbelly. You look at Laura again,
Bar
same.
belly.
Yes,
Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
for a while there. But like Laura's kind of the same thing. Like still really good at gymnastics, but like running
Mhm.
probably she's not going to be winning events.
She's
Like
come a long way with
I
it though.
yeah, I mean, oh, absolutely. But I mean, I think with like with Amy, like Amy's probably like the closest one like aerobically that's like going toe to toe with Tia. I still think Tia is the stronger aerobic athlete. But like, I mean, I think that definitely plays a role. I mean, I think something to be said too. And again, Tia is the most competitive athlete in the sport. Like, there's a clip from Jeff of him talking through the weekend, and just being like, yeah, man, like
Jeff, who?
Adler, like just
Oh, okay.
being, I don't like, he's like, yeah, like there's just something that's just like not there right now. Like, and I don't know if it's an age thing, like, but like, I feel like my top end performance is like me moving at my top speed, just like isn't as fast as these other guys right now. And he's like, I don't know if it's age, I don't know if it's something in my training, but like I just don't got it. And like, I mean, and I don't think that's the case with Tia necessarily. But like I was talking with Connor, who went through a similar experience, right? Like Connor went to the games as an individual technically twice. And then in that period of like 23, 24, where like, he was like still like high semifinal, like finishing in the top 10 to 15. He's like, yeah, I just like feel like I'm like losing an edge, and like nothing in my training is that much different, but like life is also like changing things and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, Connor's a games athlete who like wasn't like a full-time professional athlete. It's like for these people that are, it's like a whole different ball game. And I think you saw the same thing with Matt too, in a sense where like I don't think Matt lost a step at all, but I think that Matt just like you could see that he was just dude was tired, just because like I think the difference between him and Tia being Tia just like completely dominated the field. So did Matt, but like I feel like Matt did it in a way that cost him a lot more. And I feel like he's outrightly said that. And now he's in a space to where I think he's like fully loving the sport again. But I think like he kind of like burned himself out there, and that was just like the way he needed to do it in order to win and win in the way that he did. So and again, I'm not saying it's happening to Tia, but I think that happens in the sport. And it's a big risk going back there and throwing it on the table. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if anyone is going to do it. Like she is the only one that can. So should be interesting.
It's gonna make for I love when they just give us the storylines and we just get to enjoy the experience and whatever it will be. And so, and as I almost feel bad just because we're talking so much about this because it's a fascinating topic to talk about, but obviously credit where credit is due. Amy, amazing. And I'm thrilled obviously for her, but genuinely, I think we said this on that recap show as well, but I think she's going to be a great ambassador. And I think we have a lot of options for that. Right. But as the current champion, she's so soft-spoken. She's so sweet. And anyway, it's going to be fun to watch the media that comes surrounding her for the year to come. That's I
think just with the type of person she is, like it is going to be a lot of like speculation of like, can she do it again? But I mean, man, like the entire, like, I mean, even like back at like French, like she just doesn't seem to have a big weakness outside of like really heavy squatting. Right. And like that, again, just at the games, like we're seeing that come up less and less and less.
Wow. Hiller's video already has over 300,000 views, and it was B-roll from his video from the week before. Yeah. So he made another video about her and just used footage and talked about it. His B-roll video of her after she won is going to be the most viewed video ever. His most viewed video ever. That's crazy. Yeah. So like the attention that is going to go her direction and ultimately then CrossFit's direction is really exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Super stoked for her.
I mean, I think I saw something too where it's like you throw out there like Redeemed and Dominant Part 2, and I think that that's like a really fitting title, honestly, right? Like I'm as much as I wanted to personally see Dallin win, like I mean, it's cool to see James, at least wipe away that like supposed asterisk that he had. So
Yeah. I feel like you couldn't lose there, right? Like either direction that went was going to be awesome. And so, yes, you still want, but I mean, yet again, storylines like that storyline continues.
Right.
That's not, he hasn't gotten what he wanted yet, and he was so close the whole time. So that will be quite fun. And then also, I don't think I'm going to bring this one up, but Jason Hopper did like a recap 8 points of different things. Did you watch that video?
I saw he was posting it, but I didn't actually get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, it was a good video. It's on his channel for anyone who wants to go watch it in its entirety. But one of the things that I found interesting on that video that he was talking about was these skills and how he still feels behind the 8 ball when it comes to learning skills. The time for acquisition for him is just typically a little bit longer than some of the other athletes. And that's still a frustrating thing for him. So he's just saying, he's not excited about those things. And it's just kind of an interesting, like as an athlete who is pursuing sport, it's different because sometimes there are just things that you just have to do. He was just talking about that skill work and how like, that is not the stuff that he looks forward to going and doing, but he doesn't have a choice really. So again, paraphrasing everything he said. And then he also did touch on in that video as well, that something that affected, definitely go watch in his words. And of course, I think the main thing is at the very end of the video, he did share that they miscarried a baby just before the games. And so that was also something that they were navigating. And so just like everyone, pour love and support on them, and they'll be in my prayers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's obviously very hard. And I mean, I think in terms of the first piece that you said, I wonder too, if it's just like, the urgency factor, right? Like I'm sure he enjoys acquiring skills, but acquiring skills in a way that like, is normal to the rate at which we all do it, right? Not like, okay, this is an event. You're going to have to do a 4-minute AMRAP of this event, like for, 50 points, like a week before the games, like go figure it out right now. Right. Like, I mean, that's definitely tricky. And I think too, the other thing thinking about is like his age in the sport is like less than a lot of the other athletes, right? Like, I mean, obviously like former D1, like collegiate wide receiver, like his base is large. But like, Down's been doing it since he was like 10 years old. So like, that base in terms of the context of the sport and acquiring those skills, it is, going to be really helpful for that. So, I mean, I think that, I can understand him from that perspective.
Yeah, I definitely think he's just also proven that it's not enough to ever count him out. You know what I mean? Like, even though that is true, it's also true that even if the time to acquire the skill demands more of him, is more of a struggle for him, whatever, it's not been enough to hold him back in a meaningful way. And so it's reasonable to assume that it's not going to continue to be, even if it's additional new skills that come up, whatever it is, even if it takes longer for him to figure it out. I just don't see that being something to hold him back.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. Well, I have another call, and I think that you do as well.
Yes.
So anything else that you wanted to touch on that we didn't touch on here at all?
No, I mean, I feel like it was a good lengthy show. Appreciate y'all for hopping on with us on a Friday morning. And yeah, I mean, I know kind of just talking post games blues, right? Like there's so much more on the horizon, right? Like we have what now is potentially like almost like a camp invitational style thing, which I think would be really, really cool. So hopefully we get more details on that soon.
Yes.
Rogue is like around the corner. So, and I mean, it was just funny in very CrossFit fashion.
WFP is about to happen.
Yeah, WFP is about to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like the games immediately ends and it's like, okay, here are the dates for the open. It's like, like the season never stops. I mean, we all get an opportunity to like sit back and like relish in the cool things that these athletes did, and the ones that didn't get on the podium or, obviously on a little bit of a break, but are probably turning around and are ready to get right back to it. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of CrossFit coming down the pipe.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of that, if you looked at those dates that the open is coming and you thought, wow, I have a decent amount of time, but not a ton of time to get better at CrossFit, then you can always scan the QR code, go to WODprep.com, sign up for Academy. Yes. And get involved with us. And if you've got skills to acquire, we've got the courses for that. We've got unlimited coaching feedback for your videos that we do, live calls for every single week, plus 24-hour turnaround time in the Academy coaching section within Academy. Nelson is in there giving feedback all the time. It's always something constructive. And so there's just a lot of value inside of Academy. We just launched our High Rocks program as well. We've got camp here in a couple of weeks as well, which will be really
like 2 weeks.
cool.
Yeah. So if you're coming to camp, we'll see you there.
Mm-hmm.
If not, it's going to be a great time. And we run a lot of them. So make sure you get yourself out there. Also, just like a quick shout out to I know we didn't touch on it very much, but WODprep kind of crushed it in terms of the podium for our Masters athletes. So if you're wanting to compete at the CrossFit Games for the Masters, wanting to get on the podium, or just wanting to get more into the competitive space, we have that WODprep scholarship going on. We have until I think today, right? Is that right?
It is still. It is. Can you look to verify that? Do you have your phone that you can quickly?
Yeah. Because I'm 90% sure it was the 31st. I know we have a lot of applicants, but we are definitely going to be looking through all of them thoroughly, and we'll have a lot of more cool info on that.
It closes Friday 31st. Yes.
Yeah. So full year coaching, ticket to WODprep camp, access to Academy. I mean, I know it says 7,500 on there, but I feel like Ben was lowballing that a little bit. It's a lot of value. So I mean, head over there, fill that scholarship out, just ask a couple of questions because we do.
Sorry.
Okay, you're good. We do want to make sure that, whoever that scholarship goes to is someone that's willing to want to get after it. So shout out to all of our athletes on the podium and just all of our athletes who were competing this past weekend. I mean, it was awesome just being out there with everybody.
Yep. Yeah, definitely fired up we had such a crew this year, and I have full expectations to have an even bigger crew next year. And so I happen to thoroughly enjoy.
Make sure we get Terry Carey back for the 70 plus. She was like, "It's my last one." And I was like, "Nah, we'll see."
Yeah, no, it's not. No, I hope it's not. I mean, hey, I want whatever for her that she wants for her journey, but also I freaking love Terry Carey. So I hope she continues to pursue this thing for sure. So she took second in that division, and then Rose taking first in the 60 to 64, dominantly so. So yeah, really freaking cool. So awesome. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for co-hosting. This was.
Yeah, I know. We saw some comments saying that John's looking a little fitter, and that CJ.
I know. I wondered if that was. Yeah, I guess that had to have been for you.
Hey, I mean, it's. If y'all want me on here more, and hey, I even let the beard grow out a little bit for y'all. I think I cut it right before the games, and I know that the podcast community does not like that. So, or maybe they do. I don't know. It's a lot of mixed signaling from you guys.
You can let them know after the fact. Do we like babyface Nelson, or do we like I don't even know what bearded Nelson?
I definitely gear my life around what CrossFit thinks about my facial hair. So
I love it. Jay Burt, she said, we need more Nelson. Okay, cool. We'll give the feedback to the boss.
I don't know what the boss is. I don't know if the boss is going to like that feedback. He gets enough of me as it is. Awesome.
So it's great. I don't have to make these decisions. I'm just here for moral support. Awesome. All right. Appreciate you. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Keep consuming all of the CrossFit content. I know that I have got a journey ahead of me with the behind the scenes that I'm truly, really looking forward to. Just needed to not be such a sleepy girl to be able to do that stuff.
Fair.
So here you go. They're saying that the face beard is good. Neck beard is questionable. Hey, are you saying that you have a neck beard right now? You do,
I mean, it's all gross right now. I've been traveling and I feel like, especially when I'm coaching and stuff, it's all very much directed into that. I don't I gotta pinch myself to remember to brush my teeth.
Oh, we can do that. We believe in you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.